Breaking news, we have another trade. It's been a crazy NBA offseason so far, and it only continues as the Boston Celtics have traded another player. This time, it's Kristaps Porzingis. He's heading to the Atlanta Hawks with the help of the Brooklyn Nets, who, get this, now have 5 first-round picks in tomorrow's draft. Absolutely unbelievable. Take a look at this deal. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn, according to Shams, finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Hawks. So the Celtics giving up Porzingis and a second-round pick. The Hawks are sending out Terrence Mann and George Niang plus the 22nd overall pick to the Nets. Again, that means the Nets now have 5 draft picks in the first round in tomorrow night's draft. They are in prime position to do just about whatever they want. Attach those picks to players, go get other players, move up in the draft, switch those picks for future picks. That's a lot of draft capital. George Niang and a second rounder going to the Boston Celtics. So essentially what is happening here when you look at this deal? We'll talk about the Hawks side of this because obviously they're buying on Kristaps Porzingis. So we'll get there in just a moment. But as far as the pick section of this, what's really happening is Terrence Mann and the money remaining on his contract. So $15.5 million this coming season, another $15.5 million next season, and then $16 million the season after that. Terrence Mann, his contract is being given to the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets are being paid for taking his contract, and it's a significant one. And it's not that he can't play. He certainly can, but the Brooklyn Nets are being paid for using their cap space to take Terrence Mann's contract with the number 22 overall draft pick. So once again, the 22nd pick now lands with the Nets. And check this out. The Nets now have 8. They've got the 8th pick of the draft. They have the 19th pick in the draft. They have the 22nd pick in the draft. Remember, this was originally the Lakers pick, and it was the final payment actually from the Anthony Davis trade. So it's the Lakers pick via the Pelicans, via the Hawks, and now all the way over to the Brooklyn Nets. That's changed hands that many times. And then they have the 26th and 27th pick. Unbelievable amount of draft capital now for the Brooklyn Nets now that they've done this deal, and they will use up some of their cap space in order to help facilitate this trade. Meanwhile, for the Boston Celtics, the motivation is very clear. They do get George Niang. They're taking back a little bit of salary there, but he's $8.6 million in expiring money. We look at Niang, so that's not a ton. I'm sorry, $8.2 million in expiring money, so you're not taking on a lot there. He'll be a free agent next year. And Boston, the big thing for them, they get below the second apron. They've been trying to do this, do what they can to move salaries. They're not expected to be trying to win specifically next year. I don't think they're not going to try to win, but they're not expected to be one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference next year, with Jason Tatum, unfortunately, out most likely for the entire season due to that Achilles injury, which seems to be a thing going around in the NBA right now. But no Jason Tatum, the Boston Celtics. And by the way, I know there are rumors flying right now about Jaylen Brown. You know, right here on the Basketball Bulletin, we will be all over it if anything's happening there. Make sure, by the way, that you do subscribe to the channel. We're keeping you up to date on everything going on the NBA trade market. But the Boston Celtics now drop below the second apron. That's a big deal. They didn't want to spend the money, the luxury tax penalties, everything else, plus incur the wrath of the second apron to have a team that simply wasn't going to truly compete for an NBA championship. So as the Celtics have dismantled their roster, Drew Holiday went out in a deal last night, going to the Portland Trail Blazers. An incredible return, I thought, in that one for Boston. And now in this deal, they're going to shed Kristaps Porzingis and the $30 million on his contract while only bringing back the $8.2 million on George Niang's deal. So that is a pretty solid bit of work for the Boston Celtics to be able to move that much money off the books while only costing them a second-round pick. Now, that said, Kristaps Porzingis has value as a player as well. So why are the Hawks doing this? Let's talk about the Hawks as buyers for Kristaps Porzingis. Why does this actually make sense for the Atlanta Hawks? I get it for the Nets. It's about getting that first-round pick. I get it for the Celtics. It's about shedding salary. What is this for the Atlanta Hawks? Well, the Hawks are one of the teams in the Eastern Conference that we look at, and we say this is a team that can realistically look at the East and say, why not us? Why can't we be the team? Right now, it's the Cavs that are the favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference. But the Boston Celtics, again, expected to take a big step back. Indiana Pacers, no Tyrese Halliburton for the entirety of the season, almost certainly, due to, again, another Achilles injury. In fact, there's another Achilles injury we got to talk about, and that is Damian Lillard with the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, the reporting from, I believe it was yesterday, I don't know, everybody. At this point, it's all blurring together, but the Milwaukee Bucks are now under pressure to improve their team around Giannis Antetokounmpo right now so that Giannis doesn't ask out of Milwaukee, which the reporting was, again, from yesterday, that Giannis could potentially decide to ask out once we get, say, 3 weeks, and this was via Shams Charania, say 3 weeks into July, free agency, all of that kind of stuff has settled down. But the Bucks will be without Damian Lillard, who is out due to a torn Achilles, and that means they may not be as much of a threat either. So now you've got teams like the Orlando Magic. We've already seen them be a buyer on the market with Desmond Bane. Adding him, I think he's a great fit. Did they overpay? Maybe, but again, teams right now are going for it. So the Atlanta Hawks are now looking at this Eastern Conference landscape and saying, why not us? The Pacers lost Halliburton, the Celtics lost Tatum, the Bucks lost Damian Lillard. Why can't we be up there with the Knicks, with the Cavs, as some of the top teams in the Eastern Conference? I would expect to see the Pistons buy on the market as well. I'm expected to see that happen, but so far, and the Miami Heat will certainly attempt to also. But the Magic have bought. Now the Atlanta Hawks are buying. Now this is going to cost them, of course, their first-round pick in order to get Kristaps Porzingis. So the combination of the deal here, they're giving up to get an expiring contract. He is extension eligible, but Kristaps Porzingis on a $30 million contract. The Hawks parting with George Niang, Terrence Mann, and their first-round pick in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick. Now, what is that second rounder? That may matter, of course, in the overall value of this deal. But I do like the fit of Porzingis on the Hawks. I think they need another big. I think this is a clear sign that Clint Capella is gone. They will not be bringing him back. Onyeka Okongwu was a guy who got a lot of run at the center position in place of Clint Capella last season. He even took the starting job from him. But Onyeka Okongwu is a little bit undersized. He is a very mobile big, and I like him a lot, but he is a little bit undersized. So now you get Kristaps Porzingis, 7'3", the wingspan, the shooting ability, and you can really spread the floor alongside Trae Young. And so that's the really interesting thing about this Hawks team. Not only do you have now two bigs with diverse skill sets, very different skill sets in Onyeka Okongwu and Kristaps Porzingis, but you also have Trae Young, who I think at this point has kind of become underrated, but you're sending the signal to Trae Young, we're going to go try to win right now. That's what we're doing. And now that you've also surrounded him with an army of wings. And I don't think the Hawks are done at this stage, but you've surrounded him with an army of wings. Jalen Johnson, of course, suffered an injury last season. He's going to heal up, though, and be back. Zachary Sachet, last year's #1 overall pick, started to show some things, especially later on in the season. And then the great barrier thief himself, Dyson Daniels, very quickly becoming one of the best defensive wings in the NBA. So you've got these versatile, defense-oriented wings. Jalen Johnson can certainly score the basketball. Zachary Sachet can do some things. You've got these guys that you've already surrounded, insulated Trae Young with. Now you've got a pair of centers in Onyeka Okongwu and Kristaps Porzingis. Perhaps you could even play the two of them together for some stretches, and there you go. The Hawks are ready to go try to compete in the Eastern Conference. I could see some moves made here still. I think there's other things they could do. Could you look for a little bit more help at, say, the backup two guard? Could you look for another player there, especially with the departure of Terrence Mann? So I don't think the Hawks are necessarily done, but still, I think this is a nice move for Atlanta at the price of a first-round pick. Now it will be interesting to see, do they try to do an extension with Kristaps Porzingis? Are they going to keep him long-term? What's their commitment level going to be to Porzingis? But should be plenty of spacing out on the floor when Trae Young is out there, along with Porzingis and all these wings that the Hawks have to put together. So this is a trade, unlike last night's trade with the Drew Holiday deal, where to me it did not make a lot of sense for the Portland Trailblazers. I think this deal really makes a lot of sense for everybody involved here. Now, maybe the Hawks are overpaying a little bit for an expiring Kristaps Porzingis, but if they are, it's not by a lot. He is a really good player. Yes, you've got injury concerns, but I don't mind this deal for them either. So you guys let me know, though. I look at this trade, and I think this is a win-win-win deal for every team involved. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments section down below. And again, don't forget to subscribe right here to the Basketball Bulletin YouTube channel. We'll keep you up to date on all the craziness going on around the NBA. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.